Hey there, I've got a video today that I think could be helpful for a lot of people. Behind me is a homemade Kreg's jig that's air powered that we use here in our wood shop. And then over here we have a Kreg Foreman jig. If you look at it, it's got a pretty thick layer of dust on it. It sits under that table most of the time because for our purposes, the homemade jig is more efficient. So I'm going to do a comparison now and show you what I like about each of these two jigs, why we use the one that we do, and just give pros and cons for each. So stick around. Okay, first I want to talk about the Kreg Foreman jig. And I feel like my thumbnail and my description may have been a little unfair to this product, because when I bought it, I was impressed and I said this is a great product. But there's a couple of things that I don't like about it, and I'm going to go ahead and show you that now. For anyone who's not familiar with this jig, it's very simple. There's some settings that I'm not going to go into for your wood thickness and how deep you're going to drill the holes, but just basic operation. You got a safety button here and a trigger there. Whenever you pull the trigger, it spins the drill bit. You pull the handle, it brings the bit up, and at the same time it brings the bit up, it brings this clamp down. Now, it's a great system, except that wood thickness varies a little bit. And so even this is cut out of plywood right here, and even on the same sheet of plywood you'll have enough thickness variation that you have to adjust this in between clamps. You can't just have it set where it touches and drill and drill and drill. I find myself having to adjust this screw quite a bit. And that's where the problem comes in, because it really slows us down making that adjustment. If you don't have this really tight, then the board will just slightly shift to the side. I don't know if you could see that shift right there, but one problem we have is that when using this machine, it breaks at least twice as many drill bits as using our homemade jig. And these drill bits aren't particularly cheap, even though I do buy them in bulk and get a little better deal. I don't like replacing them constantly. Overall, I'd say it's a great machine, but we drill thousands and thousands of Kreg holes. And there's a little bit from the ergonomic standpoint that it's kind of out here. So my posture is just leaning forward a little bit, and over time that gets uncomfortable. We also turn our boards long ways, like this. Now that's coming right out at me to center it, so I have to kind of work around it, and it slows you down and it's a little bit inconvenient. One clear advantage for the Kreg Foreman is that it has a dust collection port on the back, whereas with our system, we blow the dust out after each board and then you have to sweep it up off the floor. So that's a clear win for the Foreman. I've got two skilled guys that use these two options to drill holes every single day. And again, we do thousands and thousands of holes, and they've made the decision to use this machine full time. So I'm going to give you a walkthrough of how this is made. This setup is air powered. We've got a air supply line coming from a big compressor on the other side of the room. We've also ran this off of a small compressor in the past. So you've got air coming in here to a foot pedal. That foot pedal has 3 positions. There's open, closed, and a neutral position. Then from there, the air supply runs up 2 places. We've got this slot here. This is the chip remover. So whenever you open the valve down there, it blows air here to remove sawdust that's blown out. And when you push the pedal the other way, we have these 4 cylinders that shove this board in. That board is rigid and it's doubled over, and it puts equal pressure across the board that we're drilling. When we are drilling, the workpiece rests up against this board right here. It's just a 1x with slots cut in it for these little solo drill jigs. So when we used to buy all of our drill bits from Lowe's, for like an extra $2 you could get the bit with one of these. So we just collected them and then we set them up with spacing that was convenient to the parts that we make. So we have narrow boards that have 3 holes in them. So they stand up on this set. If a different size of that same part needs 3 holes, we might move them down to this. So we've got the spacing set up specifically for the parts that we drill. So I know whenever I pick up a certain part that I'm standing it on end and using holes 3, 5, and 6, for instance, and I'm not measuring or marking or really giving a lot of thought to where I put the holes. So this entire setup has about $200 in air cylinders and hoses. Everything else was scrap wood, or these were parts that came with the drill bits. So we've got this set up for considerably less money than the Foreman. Okay, so I've grabbed some scrap wood and I'm going to show you how we run our operation. We've got certain parts that we repeat over and over in different sizes. So we're looking for how quickly can we make quality holes. So what we've got back here is a stacking area. We do sets of 12 parts lined up right here, and then you grab a part, open and close. Sometimes you have to wait for the air compressor to kick off before you finish talking. Okay, to summarize the reasons that we choose our homemade pocket hole jig over the Kreg Foreman, number 1 is it's a more comfortable working position for my guys. Number 2, we find that for parts that you repeatedly drill over and over, it's actually faster. Number 3, we break fewer drill bits. Reason number 4 is that even though I wouldn't say the Kreg jig is difficult to replace the bits in, it's definitely not as easy as just putting a bit in a regular drill. And the last reason is that if something goes wrong with the Foreman and we need any replacement parts, we'll have to get those from Kreg. Whereas there's nothing on this machine that we can't fix ourselves because we made it. When I say that this system works better than the Kreg Foreman, it's because of what we do. So if you're making individually handcrafted pieces, you may be happier with the Foreman. For repetitive work like we do here, there's definitely room for improvement with that machine. For you woodworking guys, we have another video coming up about how we made a homemade panel saw for just a couple $100 that we've cut thousands and thousands of sheets of plywood through with very little maintenance. So if you're interested in how to build your own panel saw, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned because that video is coming.